Hello again. These are cool, right? The kids still like Snapchat, right? And spectacles are still the hottest thing in the summer, right?
How do you do, fellow kids?
Anyways, yeah, we're back to talk about Pokemon post-rotation stuff. I have a bunch of other videos about this. I think this is going to be the last video of this specific format for 2019, just because I think after this, I was looking through like my ideas and like they're not good. This is like all you really need. So anyways, yeah, today we're going to be talking about post-rotation trainer search. Basically, it is what it says on the tin, so to speak. It's basically, you know, how do you find certain item cards, supporter cards, stadium cards even, when you need them, and what cards can help you do that. As we've done many times before, let's start with what we are losing. And basically, the good news here, good news, we're not really losing much. We're only losing one card, and it's a card that I didn't think saw a lot of play. So it's Lusamine. Basically, it lets you put two of any combination of supporter and stadium cards from your discard pile into your hand. It could have been useful. People didn't really use it. Let's move on. The next thing we're going to talk about is what we are keeping. And as usual, I have this broken up into a few different categories. The first category, it's a quick one, is Pokemon that allow us to find trainer cards. And there's really just one Pokemon that I have in here. There might be others that do similar effects. I honestly don't think you're going to use Pokemon for this kind of thing for the most part. But that card is Jirachi. Jirachi is used in so many decks right now. It's going to continue to be used in a ton of decks. Stellar Wish is an amazing ability that, coupled with a skateboard, it's a thing of beauty, right? So basically you can look at the top 5 cards of your deck and choose a trainer card that you find there and put it into your hand. Super simple, super useful. Yeah, not much more to say there. The next category is basically what I'm calling specific supporter cards. So these are supporters that let you find either a specific type of item or requires you to use a specific thing in order to make it active. You'll see what I mean in a second, but they're very specific, so they won't work in every deck or in every situation. The first card from this is Volkner. Now this card is great for an electric type deck. You basically get to search for an item card and an electric energy, all with one supporter. Super helpful, especially in electric decks, because you have electro power, you have electromagnetic radar. Lots of good item cards for electric decks. I think you'll continue to see a lot of Volkner being played in those decks. The next card we have is Crasher Wake. Now, it hasn't seen as much play lately because, let's face it, water has been a rough deck to really build around. But with, you know, the new water card coming into play of Slowpoke and Psyduck, I think you could see Crasher Wake coming into play. You discard 2 energy cards from your hand, and if you do, you get to look for 2 cards, any cards. Now, I'm putting in this in trainer search because it lets you look for trainers. You could look for Pokemon, you could look for anything really. So I think this is a pretty useful card in those water decks. The next card on our list is Diantha. It's very specific to fairy Pokemon decks. And it's basically, you can only play the card if one of your fairy Pokemon was knocked out by your opponent during your last turn. And if so, you can put 2 cards from your discard pile into your hand. Again, 2 cards. It doesn't say trainer, doesn't say anything specific, but you could use this to get trainer cards that you need. I think it's so situational, I don't think it'll see a ton of play. That's just my opinion. There's other cards that can do a similar job that you need done, not necessarily discard, but a similar job that don't require you to give up prizes to activate it. The next card is Apricorn Maker. Basically, you can search your deck for 2 item cards that have the word ball in their name. We're losing a lot of our ball search. So, you know, you don't have Nest Ball, you don't have Ultra Ball. You've got a few left, so it could be useful in weird situations, but really, like, you're gonna run 4 Cherish Balls in most decks. You're gonna run those Pokemon Communications for now. Unless you really think you need to find those Cherish Balls at the right moment, I don't think Apricorn Maker will see a lot of play, but it's in there, it's an option. Next we have Lycia? I don't know how to pronounce this. Anyways, basically you can search your deck for up to 2 Prism Star cards and put them in your hand. This, I think, will be actually very useful, especially because of things like Thunder Mountain, different Prism Star cards that are really hard to find sometimes because they're hard to search out. So I think this card could see a lot of play in decks that maybe rely on 2, 3, 4 different Prism Star cards in order to, get what they need. And the last in this category is one that I again, don't really think will see much play, but it's an honorable mention, I guess. It's Dana. Basically, you can only play this if your opponent's active Pokemon is a stage 2. Very situational. And when you play it, you can search your deck for up to 2 cards and put them into your hand. So, as you can see here, if you can play it, it's useful. But I don't think it's so situational. It's not going to really be that valuable, in my opinion. So this next category is going to be more generic supporter cards. So they don't require anything necessarily specific in order for you to do them. One minor exception, but for the most part, they can be played in a lot of different types of decks at a variety of different times during the game. So to start off, we're going to talk about Steven's Resolve. Now this card allows you to search your deck for up to 3 cards. Any cards, doesn't have to be trainers. It's very useful, but the problem with this is that your turn ends at the end of this card being used. I think it can work obviously in some specific deck types where you don't need acceleration and you don't really need to get things rolling quickly, like stall decks, for instance. Might even be useful if you have this first turn, right? Like you can't attack anyways, but otherwise, I don't think it'll be seen in every deck or a ton of decks even, but wanted to throw it in there for those specific deck types. The next card is going to be Bill's Analysis. Now this one lets you look at the top 7 cards of your deck and then reveal 2 trainer cards and put them into your hand. It's kind of like a better Jirachi as a supporter. So, whether or not you're running Jirachi, if you're not running Jirachi especially, this could be an interesting supporter to put in. If you just, need to find some trainer cards, see what your options are. Hopefully you can hit on what you need. The next card is going to be Green's Exploration. Now you've seen this card used a lot in decks that don't use abilities. I don't know how many non-ability based decks are going to come into play post-rotation. Maybe, though, those are the decks that are going to be the ones that surprise everyone, because with Mew and Mewtwo GX, all these other like Latios GX, etc. coming out, things like Power Plant are going to be really powerful. So that's going to incentivize people to play Power Plants and to play Green's Exploration type builds. So basically this card lets you search your deck for 2 trainer cards so long as you don't have any Pokemon with abilities in play. And then the final card in this category is Red's Challenge. You can only play this card if you discard 2 cards from your hand. But if you do, you can search your deck for a card, a trainer card, a Pokemon, anything really. But a great card to help you search out what you need when you need it. And the discard feature is actually helpful, especially in decks that, we're losing Ultra Ball, so you're not discarding nearly as often. So this helps you get some of those things into your discard pile so that you can then get them out later with other items or trainers, etc. So I think you'll see a lot more play of Red's Challenge now that Ultra Ball is gone. Now this final category is going to be item cards that let you search out trainer cards of some sort. They're a little bit less powerful than supporters, as you would imagine. But, important to remember that these are really helpful when you need to play a supporter that's different, or you need to find that supporter, then play it on that turn. So the first one we have is Order Pad. It lets you flip a coin, and if it's heads, you can search your deck for an item card and then put it into your hand. Obviously, the coin flipping is not ideal, and it is limited in that you can only search for an item card. But as an item card, it's super helpful in those moments, especially if you can get that coin flip, or you can play 2 of them to get a couple of shots at it, really. The next item is going to be Adventure Bag. This basically lets you search your deck for 2 Pokemon tool cards and then put them into your hand. Now this is especially helpful because I think a lot of tools are going to be very powerful coming up. Things like Stealthy Hood, protecting you from other abilities from your opponent, as well as things like those Fairy Charm abilities, which now that we've lost Field Blower, I think tools are going to see a lot more play in a bunch of decks. And then finally, the last card that we still have is Pokegear 3.0. Basically, you can look at the top 7 cards of your deck and reveal a supporter card you find there, and then put it into your hand. So, sort of similar to Jirachi Bill's Analysis-ish. You can only use it to find a supporter card, but a great card if you're like, I need to find whatever supporter you need. You can't play a supporter to get it, right? So, play that Pokegear, see if you can hit. You hit, that might be the game for you. So, I think Pokegear will also see a decent amount of play as a really great option for finding your supporters. That's what we have. Now let's talk finally about what we are getting with Unified Minds. And there are 2 cards in particular that I think are really interesting. The first of which is Misty's Request, or Misty's Favor, depending on how you translate it, we'll see soon. But Misty's Request is great as a supporter because it lets you search out 3 supporters from your deck. It's a supporter that lets you find supporters, which may not be great on that turn unless you played a Lieutenant Surge's strategy, but it can set you up really well for the next turn. And not to mention it synergizes really well with that Slowpoke and Psyduck. Maybe it's just me, but I am very hype on that deck right now. And then the final card that I'm going to talk about today, the one that we're getting, is Stadium Nav. This is a critical card at this time of the game. So many stadiums are really powerful and are critical to your success in the way that you build your deck. Not only that, finding a stadium, whatever it might be, in order to stop your opponent's stadium is also going to be really, really important. So Stadium Nav, I think, is going to see itself find its way into basically every deck as a 2-off at least. So definitely something to think about and put into your deck as the Stadium Wars begin to heat up. That is it for this card exploration of post-rotation trainer search. Yeah, hopefully you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Did I miss anything crucial? Are any of these cards really as hype as I'm making them out to be? Yeah, definitely let me know your thoughts in the comment section. And that's gonna do it. So thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, definitely subscribe. I have more videos coming out, pack openings, etc. And yeah, you can check out the rest of the playlist as well with all these videos, and find me on Twitch and Instagram where I do pack openings and gameplay, etc. So thank you so much for stopping on by, neighbor.